2026 is a year full of opportunity and promise, especially in the board game world.
Yeah.
NATO is picking 10 games that he's looking forward to this coming year on Legendary Tactics.
All right, so my top 10 and most anticipated games of 2026.
Now, Roxley and Gavin Brown, the co-designers of the BGG's, I think it's still the top game.
I think so.
Brass Birmingham have a game coming out.
Yeah, so this is Brass Pittsburgh. And this basically focuses in the U.S. In the age of Vanderbilt, Carnegie, Rockefeller, and a guy by the name of Henry Frick. And the idea is that you're building your network, as you do in the other games of Brass, building your network of railways, pipelines, things like steel mills, oil refineries, and even more. So it looks like a much more diversified kind of economy than, say, Brass Birmingham or whatever. And I have no idea how that all works together, but it does seem really, really intriguing.
I love that the notes sort of suggest there might be some new mechanisms, but no idea what they are.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that, Brass I really enjoyed Brass Birmingham. I've liked it much better than Brass Lancashire. But Brass Pittsburgh has the potential to maybe be the best one. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, that is a hard game to dethrone from that top spot.
Yeah.
It'll happen, though.
Yes.
Games can't last up there forever.
Yeah.
So let's move to your number 9.
Yeah, so number 9 is Nippon Zibatu. And again, don't know a ton about this game. The images, though, look really kind of neat. You're essentially different conglomerates and essentially building Japan's economy. And I have a feeling it has something to do with the Meiji Restoration, sort of the 1800s. And it's essentially a majority economic game, essentially. And
Industrial Revolution era.
Yeah, based in that era, maybe a bit before the Meiji Restoration, which was the 1860s. I think it's maybe in the 1840s or something. But
is this based on the original game by the same name from, was it 2013 or something, or 2007 or
Yeah. No, the original game was just Nippon, and this one has the same mechanisms present, but then they've upgraded the art, and they've updated the design to be a little more modern because it's almost 20 years old now. So they've refined the system.
And there's an Automa-driven solo system for this as well.
Yes, that's my understanding. So yeah,
very good.
So these days you need a solo system with almost every
yes, you do.
It's really important. So.
Well, let's move to number 8, and that game is World Order.
Yeah. Now this one is really interesting. It's simulating the global politics since 2010, essentially. So you've got Beijing rising, you got Moscow emerging, the EU is doing its thing, the US is perhaps feeling some
tension
globally. And so it's all about how power is being distributed and redistributed around the world. Just 2 to 4 players. Essentially a game of international relations and diplomacy, but I think it takes into various factors, economic and political and military and so forth. And I don't know a ton about it, although I wonder if it is a game that I saw an early iteration of at Gen Con before, because as I was looking through, I'm like, I feel this looks familiar, but Gen Con would be the only spot where I would have seen this. So, but it did look really intriguing, and those epic political games can just be really, really fun and informative because they do give a little bit of insight as to what's going on in the world today. So
this one does look great, and you do have a connection to Japan, so
yes.
Need to play out some of those tensions.
Yes.
So let's move on now to your number 7, and that game is Hearts of Iron, not the video game.
Yes.
But I understand you get recommended this game in Steam all the time.
Yeah, Steam always pops up with you might like this game, and I haven't tried it. It was recommended to me by a friend, but it's one of those games that is very much a detailed time sink type experience where I just don't have the time
supplying troops and that kind of thing.
It's essentially running World War II. You take a nation with your own sort of in the board game. Apparently, you have your own player boards. There's ideologies. You've got cards, tokens, and minis even to represent your country. And you are playing through World War II, or at least until 1944.
Right.
And the idea is that you're able to kind of take control of your country from all different aspects. So you're looking at running the war from all different perspectives. And it just, I don't know how it compares to something like War Room or Axis and Allies, but the game itself has been around a long time. It seems to have quite a following, and I think that they're probably going to do it justice.
You
I'd just like
heard
to see what it does.
Board game, World War II, game on.
Yeah, grand strategy.
Grand strategy.
I'm in. Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah.
Our next game, number 6 on the list, is one that you had the chance to play in a unique location and with a designer, I believe.
Yes, we were actually in a building that was related in some way to the Supreme Court in the United States in Washington, D.C. The game is first Monday in October, and it's all about the Supreme Court in the U.S., which sounds not necessarily like the most interesting topic for a game, but I have actually played the game. It is actually really fun. What made it really fun is that we had the designer, Talia Rosen, there, and she just explained, everything was just... it was just so much fun because she had all the backstories of all the justices and all that sort of thing, and so it just made it so much fun. It really brought the game alive, the history alive. So I don't know what the game is like without having the designer standing there, like letting you know all the background, but it was fun to play. We had a great time with it, and it has got some really neat mechanisms to represent the law. And anyway, it's really interesting. I'd like to try it again. I fortunately had a chance to try it once, but I think I'd like to try it again.
Something I've learned is never judge a board game by its theme, because sometimes the lamest themes are the most fun board games.
Yes, which is a nice segue into my number 5.
Right. the game for your number 5 is Container.
Container.
Which is actually referring to containers being shipped overseas.
Yes, it's about shipping containers, yes. This is a game, I think it's originally from 2007, if I'm not mistaken. And it was actually another YouTuber that recommended it to us and said how great it was. It's an economic game where you have container ships, and you're loading on containers of different goods, and you're sailing them to different areas, and it's a whole there's an auction mechanic essentially, and essentially you're trying to buy low and sell high.
But it's a blind auction where I might know what one container's worth, but you know what another one's worth.
Yes.
And we're trying to sort of figure out the whole lot based on how the players are interacting price-wise in a closed market economy.
Yes. And so it's got that. It's a very cutthroat game, apparently, very competitive. There's all sorts of things, like you have secret values of the containers and all that stuff. So as far as I know, this game is an updated version of that, and it looks a lot smaller.
The miniature boats look very similar to the ones in the older games.
But smaller.
So,
yes. Because I think the originals the boats were pretty decent sized. So, but from what I saw, it looks like it's a remake of that game, because that game hasn't been around in a while. And so I'd love to try it. I think it'd be a really fun game. Again, apparently cutthroat, very competitive, but if you like that kind of thing, it's going to be an amazing game experience. So
good. Okay.
All right.
So now we move into the top 4.
Yeah.
Your 4th game.
Yes, Napoleon, The Limits of Glory. Now, this is technically an expansion to the game I, Napoleon, which I played a fair bit last year. And this expands on the narrative. Now, the original game, it's a solo game. It's biographical in the sense that every card represents an event or person in Napoleon's life or conflict or whatever. And it plays out, it's essentially, in a weird way, it's like playing out his life, but if things had happened differently.
Right.
So you have a kind of an alternate history, and you can make different decisions, and you can change the course of his life. And sometimes you get bad luck. The first game I ever played, I lost within 5 minutes because I went into my first campaign as a captain in the French army, and I got shot and died. So it's a very unique game system, and the designer Ted Racer has decided to expand it. This includes the years from 1793 to 1821 with a lot of alternate history, like what if this had happened, what if that had happened.
So let me get this straight. Is this almost like a role-playing game?
You could say yeah, it'd be a bit weird if you were just kind of talking to yourself.
One player in a room, yes, I'm hereby declare.
Yes. I don't know if that would go too well, but in the sense of you're stepping into a role, you're stepping into someone's life and kind of reliving some of that aspects. Yeah, in a way, I could see that. So
nice.
Yeah, but I'm intrigued to see where he took the system, because when I interviewed him you can check out, we did have a video interview with him. It didn't seem like he was that excited about taking the system beyond the first game. So apparently he was convinced or decided there was more material there. So anyway.
Very good. Yeah. Love it. Let's move on to number 3.
So
in
number
this game,
3,
you've been talking about this one quite a bit.
Yeah, well, and I've even seen it in action at Fort Circle DC in 2024 and in 2025. This is Coast Watchers by Volko Ruhnke.
Oh,
and,
yes.
Yeah, and it's a
Great
really
designer.
Interesting idea, because he's all into recon and intelligence at the moment, where it's all about being able to find out what your enemy is up to, and that's the whole heart of the game is trying to understand, sending out scouts, and it's all about intelligence gathering, essentially. That's the theme that he's into right now. And so Coast Watchers is the first game of a series. It
Historically, when does this happen?
World War II. So when the Japanese were invading the islands just north of Australia, you had Australians who were called the Coast Watchers, and they had these giant radios that they had to carry with like 2 or 3 people through the jungle, and they would report on what they saw of troop movements and naval movements and so forth. And so the Japanese player is trying to carry out the mission, and the Coast Watchers are trying to find out what that mission is and report on it, and not with enough information to thwart the plans of the enemy. So, and it has a solo mode, which I'm also intrigued to try out. And a lot of it is you've got these blocks, and blocks are switching around, and you get to peek at blocks depending on your what your activities. So it just looks really, really interesting. And I mean, Volko's designs are always very deep, and
he's the father of the coin system, correct?
Yes, he started. Yeah. Yes,
interesting to see how the board game mechanisms change from a designer's, like, as they go through their career.
Yes.
What direction they take with their designs.
Yeah, and he always picks a theme and he runs with it for a few games, and then he switches. So anyway, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Coast Watchers. Okay, let's zoom to number 2 now.
Yes.
And apropos Fort Circle,
yes,
you have another game on your list.
Yes,
which I chose Shakespeare's Last Folio on my list. If you want to check my video out, we'll link to that one.
Yes.
But what's your game?
Yes, and this is the second Fort Circle game on my list, the first one being the first Monday in October. Halls of Montezuma is by Kevin Bertram, who is the founder of Fort Circle Games, along with his good buddy Gilberto Lopez. And it's all about the annexation of Texas by the U.S. in the December of 1845. So the U.S.-Mexican War that happened at that time. And
how many players are in this game?
It's a 2-player game. And I'm hoping, I've actually seen it in action, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet. But from what I understand, it's low complexity and card driven. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit like Shores of Tripoli, which, if you have played, is an amazing game. It's so much fun, simple to learn, but lots of cool strategy, a little bit of luck. But anyway, I'm looking forward to giving that a try. I've seen it a few times, and now I'm intrigued enough that I really want to give that a go.
That's awesome. So that brings us to our final game on the list. And this is a series that I know you've loved. Chad Jensen did the original design for this, but tell me about what game is coming out that you're looking forward to.
Yeah, so my number 1 game that I'm looking forward to in 2026 is Combat Commander Vietnam. As Flash said, Chad Jensen designed it. Now, he passed away a few years ago, but his wife, Widow Kai, is helping with the design along with some other people, and they're continuing forward with the Combat Commander series, but it adds in a layer of metagame or political. They're laying over a political aspect to it, so it's not just the actual battles, or the squad level battles, there's a political aspect as well, which seems really intriguing. And it basically covers the tactical infantry combat from 1961 to 75, apparently, so very broad scope. And I have actually only really discovered Combat Commander this year, even though it's been around a while. This is the year where I finally took the plunge, and I'm really loving. I'm playing both Pacific and Europe, and I'm enjoying both very much. So I'm really looking forward to Combat Commander Vietnam. I would have been intrigued before, but now I know what I'm kind of getting into. So I'm really interested to see where they go with that. But apparently it's incredible. I did get a glimpse of it at Circle DC 2025, but no, just a glimpse. So I didn't have a chance to really, and I didn't really know what I was looking at the time either. So
fantastic. So let us know what games you're looking forward to in 2026. And now you need to get out there,
get gaming,
and be legendary.